If these next 30 to 40 minutes don't get you fired up, nothing will. My guest today, John Randle, was and is the personification of energy and passion. He forged a path built from sheer determination and grit and paved his unique way to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He played with one speed, full gas, and he left us in awe with his creative ways to intimidate and affect the game. Regulators mount up, Night Riders, big dog in the house, rock and roll. It's Johnny time. Fasten your seatbelts, everyone. Here's Johnny. Hey, John, welcome to Great Dane Nation, man.
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be speaking to you and the good folks that is listening in and watching and viewing us.
So I love all the. I just got done watching like a 30-minute YouTube video.
Oh boy!
When you were mic'd up, it was John Randle mic'd up, and we played in the same era. So you're known for your energy. I mean, your offensive line coach said you were the ever ready bunny before he was invented. You were the original bunny. And all your sayings and all your talk, and people say trash talk. I find it more like creative conversation. Yeah, not even in.
Yeah.
What it does is it makes people that you play against wonder a little bit and go, what did he just say? Yep. And I love that. And I think that whole thing is born now. If you look at your history, and we can start with the sayings that you have, because I love them, and my favorite one is that regulators mount up, man. That's a good one. So can you talk to me a little bit about all? And I know you've talked about this ad nauseum, but I find it interesting that a guy who was perceived as an undersized guy, coming out of community college and D2, undrafted, ends up in Canton, Ohio. That is a fantastic journey, bro. That is a motivating, fantastic, fascinating story. So whether you want to start in Texas or we can start from now and work our way back. Hey, man.
No, my story is, it's so much to tell because my path is so different from most guys who get in football, who got in the hall. I mean, I was undersized because I was 240. And when I got to the Minnesota Vikings, they were trying to put me at a linebacker. And I'm like, no, I want to play defensive line. And they just didn't, when I was coming in the league, they just didn't think that was possible. You had to be a certain size, a certain height. And I just didn't have it. But it was just, I had to deal with a lot. I had to basically say that I weighed more than I actually weighed, and I had to show them that I was a type of person who could bounce back after that play, after the next play. And for me, I was very fortunate because that's what type of person I am. A very high energy guy who just wasn't gonna be settled for nothing else. I was a guy who said I was determined to show them that I could do whatever they needed for me to do. I think, I'm not just me thinking out loud, but I think I would have been a perfect guy for the military because I was a guy, when you said to do this, I was going to do it. And I didn't have to tell anybody. I would get a plan together and I was going to succeed with it.
Do you think that growing up poor in Texas, I mean, that's what it was. That was an impetus. That was like a motivation for you to overachieve, and maybe you're not overachieving, but to work hard. You had to work outside of school at a very early age.
Yeah,
and to make ends meet and to help the family and to pull your own weight at an early age, and that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I didn't really see it at that time. That's where it was. I just saw it as, growing up in the country, not having much, And if I wanted something, I had to go work for it. But yeah, it definitely was a factor into who I became because I grew up at an early age working in cotton fields, making $2 an hour, working with my mom. I've had every odd job that you could possibly imagine, from being a janitor to buffing floors to laying tar on pavement, on rooftops, building scaffolds, wrapping metal, wrapping aluminum, mowing lawns, doing fence rows. You name it, I've probably done it. And so for me, that working hard was part of me. I got up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning for jobs and didn't come home to 5 in the afternoon, 6 in the afternoon. And, it was just my environment. That's what I saw from people, working hard. If you want to achieve, you have to work hard. And for me, when I was in NFL, one of the things that always stuck to my head was when I got that first paycheck and I looked at it and I'm like, so you're going to pay me to do that opposed to what I was doing before this? This, you want me to run all day? Oh, I can run all day. And it was just who I was. I think a lot of it too, I can remember growing up, one of the things that I just love being outdoors. I love being out in the trees or out in the forest doing stuff like that. So it all kind of came together, and luckily that football allowed me all those different things that it was being outdoors, using my hands, getting dirty. And, it was just, to me, it was blue collar work.
And maybe that work ethic that you had from having to work all those different jobs helped you in football. Was football a place of a safe haven for you, a place where you early on, or was it early on that you realized, man, I got a unique talent for whether it was rushing the quarterback or just being fast and athletic? At what point and who actually clarified that for you?
I think when I got to about my third year, one of my coaches, he had us outside we had these bags. And I remember watching other guys do these bags, and they had to like slap it and swim and rip and stuff. And they were kind of doing it as if it was just, they were more awkwardly doing it. And for me, I looked, when I was doing it, I didn't think about it, but afterward, the guys was like, you're doing this as if you are like it's like dancing, because most guys were just running and I was jumping in the air, flying in the air, basically doing my moves up in the air and loving it. And to me, they said I looked natural doing it. So John Turley, who's one of my first coaches who was talking about pass rushing or getting to the quarterback, he took me to the side and said, he basically said, you're different. I'm like, yeah, I know. He goes, no, you are, this game is built for you. You're a type of person who can achieve in it, but you're going to have to push yourself and always believe that you can do better. And that's probably was one of my first times that someone had told me, here was something that I had never really heard somebody told me that. No one has ever told me, hey, you can excel at this, you can do this, you can do that. And my life was always like the odds were against me. And so he was one of the first guys that ever really told me that.
You grow up in Texas, which they have tremendous D1 colleges. How upsetting or how motivating, how frustrating was it that, Texas A&M, TCU, Baylor, none of them come? You have a big brother who actually went to Baylor, is that right? And then he goes on and plays 8 years in the NFL, Urban, and has great success at Tampa Bay. And I think you actually had a workout with Tampa Bay where they said, no, you're not big enough, you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough, you don't weigh enough.
Yeah.
Right? So how motivating was it? I mean, you're coming out, let's face it, Texas, man, is one of the biggest producers of football talent. But you're forced to go to community college in D2. Mm-hmm. That's had to be,
It was Yeah, I was very disappointed because, Texas football is it's Texas football is like it's like church on Sunday. You got to go. You got to do it. So for me, I was very disappointed. But there was a coach named Keith Walters who was at the community college, and I remember him coming to see me. I can remember it like it was yesterday. He drove up in his red Chevy Blazer, 4-door Blazer, and was telling me that, that option is not one for me because I was a very raw football player. I didn't have technique, and my school was a small Division III school, and I can remember coaches telling us how to use the forearms. And when I got to college, the coaches was looking at me, and I'm like trying to hit. He goes, "What are you doing?" I'm using the forearm. He goes, "Son, that stuff is like antique. We don't do that anymore. We use our hands." And for me, it's just that was the perfect place for me, was that community college where I learned to use my hands. But disappointed I was coming out of. I was a top athlete in Texas, but going to a small community college, then going to Texas A&I, because they told me at the community college I could stay for another semester and I could have transferred to Baylor, but I didn't think I was ready for Baylor. I still hadn't really, perfected my craft of being a better football player. So Texas A&I was the next best step for me. And that's the place where I learned to, we started talking about playing defensive end, going against the quarterbacks. And my coach, God rest his soul, he was a very unusual coach. I mean, most coaches, we know they wear coach's shorts, sweatpants or something.
Sansevelt.
Yeah, Sansevelt. Exactly.
Oh,
hey,
pulled up to the belly button.
Yeah, you remember that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do I remember that?
Well, this coach, he came out. He had on a pair of Wrangler jeans, a plaid shirt, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat. And he's standing out there with a football book. And he's got his little glasses on. He's going, "Okay, boys, they say y'all need to go up the field." We're all looking around like, "What?" "Yeah, you got to go up the field." Kick his hat back. But his name was Coach Knipper. I remember Coach Knipper. I'm like, and I remember asking one day, my coach, you don't wear the coach's clothes? He goes, "John, don't need that." He goes, "God put us on this earth. We're all different. I don't need to wear those to coach. You guys got to listen to this. Don't look at this." And, but yeah.
It's like Bob Phillips.
Yes, exactly. So he was a big country guy. So for me, he was another coach that was different, but I can relate. I can understand him. And he was I just learned a lot from him about, just going around the corner. But coming to Minnesota, those techniques that I learned in college transferred right into the pros, because when I got here, I was undersized. I wasn't big enough, but the coach told me, he goes, "You got something that they don't have." He goes, "You know technique." He goes, "It's going to take us a couple of years to teach those guys the hand techniques, and you learned it in college." And so I was ahead of those guys in that department, but I wasn't ahead of them in weight and size. So he said, "We can put the weight on you, but we can't teach you that." So everything just kind of came together for me here in Minnesota. And, go ahead.
I would say it did. I wonder if that coach at your community college taught you to to be authentic and to be real, be true to yourself, be yourself. Kind of sounds like he kind of took you down that road a little bit and said, "Hey, it doesn't matter your size, it matters the heart." I mean, you have an authentic heart and you have a deep desire to get things done, you can get it done. And you took that with you in your mental baggage, in your luggage, and you went to Minnesota undrafted.
Yeah.
And again, you're told, like you just like you just alluded to, oh, too light, too small, and you had a couple of tricks up your sleeve just to make weight. I mean, I read you put some change, in your pocket.
Yeah, we had those sweatpants back then, and so back then, my rookie year, they would kind of give you a couple of days off for like during mini camps. So my roommate and I went to a hardware store, just kind of two country boys kind of sitting around, nothing to do. Walked in the hardware store looking around at these chains. I'm like, man, and the guy goes, y'all see those chains? I'm like, yeah. He goes, some chains weigh about 10 pounds each. And I just looked at the guy and I'm going, that's exactly what I need. I'm about 240. I need to get to 250. So I'm sitting there, and my roommate and I, named William Kursky. So William and I bought these chains, bought a little lock, and tried it. And like, guy came over and cut it. And that's how I made the team. But at the time, the organization, man, I was playing behind 4 elite guys. I had Chris Dolman, Keith Millard, Henry Thomas, and Al Noga. And so they told me, they go, you know what? You're not going to touch the field, but you're going to play special teams. So I was on kickoff return, punt team, punt return. I was even on hands team.
Yeah. Hey, that hands team was a good time.
Dude, that hands team was intense.
On.
Yes. And they told me, you know what the funny part was? They go, listen, the special team coach named Tom Battle. He goes, listen. He kept going, listen, your job is not to touch the football. Okay. So what's my job? Your job. He goes, your job is to stop the guy from getting the football. You got me? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so we worked, every week, with you guys, the kickers and stuff, we're working on it. Yeah. And the first time we use it, it's against the Raiders. And I'm out there. It's like just breathing hard. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm looking down. All I see, I know what guy I got. I look down. There's this guy in his jersey, number 81, standing there. And it's Tim Brown. And I'm looking at him. Kicks that ball. It was like it was slow motion. And Tim Brown put his hands up like this. And that's like a piece of sawwood. I just, boom. And I jumped up I went, whoa, whoa.
Oh, hands to you, man. The good old days when the rules didn't dictate, now you can't touch each other. Now you can't overload. Now you can't have a running start. I mean, the onside kick is a 6% proposition now, where back in the day, closer to 50-50 proposition.
Yeah, it was so different. The meetings and we were in there like constantly watching film on a handstand, and I think I did it twice. We Poston had against you guys, Atlanta, and we didn't. And but we playing you guys down in Atlanta, and this time we got another guy down there. This was on punt team. Got a guy down there from you guys, your team. He's bouncing around, he's doing his job. I'm like, whatever, dude. I run down there, and he catches the ball. He tried to do one of these moves. I went right through him. Mr. Deion Sanders.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. Deion, he was doing all this here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, I got time for all that. I'm trying to make this team. I don't see all that.
Hey, do you think, Johnny, that so humble beginnings everywhere you go? That's really what I'm getting here. Humble beginnings with the Vikings too. You're put and you're, hey, I'm available, and they put you on special teams. They put you anywhere and everywhere, and you basically excel at it. And you also get now a little taste of what it's like to put a guy on his back.
Mm-hmm.
And that fuels your fire now. And as you alluded to a little bit ago, you're part of that line in the 90s with Dolman, Thomas. I mentioned a couple other guys, which I look at, okay, and I compare, and I would like your opinion on this. You know, you got the Vikings in the 70s, Steelers in the 70s. I'm talking about D-line now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
80s Eagles, 80s Bears, and the Bucks in the 2000s. Where did that line? Because I thought you guys were underrated, Johnny. I really did.
Yeah.
Where does that rank?
You know what? I think we rank up in the top 10 because for Chris Dolman and Keith Millard, man, like if Keith would have stayed healthy, Keith was destined to be the next Howie Long. And you know, I got to know Keith so well, and man, watching when you were around these guys, I call them the all-star guys like Keith and Dolman.
Yeah.
It's so unique to watch them get in the stands. Like Keith Millard just didn't, you know, you watch guys now, it's put their hand down. Keith Millard had such a unique, I call it like a Doc Holliday, Johnny Ringo style. Keith would roll his hand out to put it in the stands. He would
be dramatic about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like,
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah, and he would roll it, man. Like his hands would come out and get down. And I was like, wow, man. He would just have these weird things and just like, he would get in the stands. And when you're around pass rushers, the unique thing about it, when you rush the quarterback, you don't breathe. You hold your breath. And Keith would get out there and he was like, say stuff. He had like this deep voice, man. Oh, can you feel that? You can feel that rush, Johnny. You can feel that. And it was just, I learned so much from being around him, Dolman, and watching you guys rush the quarterback, their intensity. And I tell people, playing offense, playing defense is so different. Offensive guys are not as aggressive because offensive guys control the direction of the flow of, in a play. But the defensive guys, you got to be, it's like you're trying to decide. I don't know if you're going to hear.
React.
And yeah, reaction. And so being around those guys, man, I learned about like when you rush the quarterback, you can rush him from the right, but you also got to be just as good on your left side. And this unique things about getting to the quarterback. Yeah. And from
Johnny, I watched the video of you just before we came on together, and you're teaching Williams in training camp.
Yeah.
You're teaching him to spin off of get rid of hands. But if the guy grabs you, you were teaching him to spin, and he was clearly better spinning one way than the other. He goes, do it from the other side.
Yeah.
Do it from the other side. You got to be able to do it from both sides.
Yep. And
you're teaching him that, and that's what you were good at, man.
Yeah, I coaching guys, to me, I was lucky enough to be around some great guys, and I learned some stuff, and I wanted to be able to carry on that NFL tradition, which makes it such a great game. It's about teaching guys, a game that is born from guys who gave so much from their blood, sweat, and tears. And, I wanted to pass it on to the next generation because it's almost like you with a car that you're selling, but you just don't want to sell it to anybody. You want to make sure whoever you hand it off to takes care of it, like a home. And that's what I used to tell Tony. We were talking about pass rush. I remember we were talking about that, and I was telling him, I said, you got to be patient with this move. If you're going to do the spin move, you got to be patient. What do you mean? I said, you got to put that hand out there and wait for him to touch that hand. When he goes push that hand, that makes you push and come back the other way. Mm. And I learned that move from watching Bruce Smith and watching Michael Jordan. I would see Jordan on the basketball court, him and Charles Barkley working on a spin move, posting it up and coming off of it, because basketball to me was like, because I'm old school, so I like watching the Bruce Lee movies. So for me, pass rushing was getting in my garage and just working pass rush moves for about an hour to trying to perfect. I call it perfect the craft that I wanted it to become second nature. Because if you can teach yourself, like it's like walking and walking better. Because one thing we learned from this coach John Randle was he used to tell us, take it home, take your technique and your skills, take it home with you, perfect it. He goes, the better you are at this, the better you will become, and the better people will see you, and you will make a impact on his game. And he was so special. He was strange, man, but
how was he strange?
Well, one of the strange things that he would tell you is, he would say, I'm going to call you one morning. I'm going to call you late at night. And he said, all I'm going to say is, if you don't know what to do, jet. Or I'm going to call you and tell you, hi-hat, what do you do? Pass. So he would call you at 2 o'clock in the morning,
no,
hi-hat, pass. If you don't know what to do, get out the quarterback. He would say something just like, hey, if you came in if you were late for the game and you got here and I sent you on the field and they had called the play and you lined up, what would you do? I said, go after the quarterback. There you go. And so he was so unique, man. And like he would tell us to come in the meeting room, you had to make a pass rush move. You can't just walk in the room.
That's great.
I mean, he would be like, hey, what you doing? Just walking. No. You got to make a move. I want to see a move. Go back out, come back in. So we were always doing that. And so it became like, then he would walk around, he would see you somewhere and he would put his hand in your chest. Like, so you have to make a move. And so, man, we were always about pass rushing.
You know what he was trying to do as a coach? This is what I think he was trying to do, besides having fun. But there was a method to that madness. And it was to teach you, it was to teach that positive behavior needs to be dominant. Yeah. You need to have 2 words, and I use it in my own with kicking, unconscious competence. You don't have to think about it. I can call you at 2 in the morning and say, hi-hat, and you pass. You right away.
Pass. Yeah.
Unconscious. That's what he wanted you to get to, man.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
He did it for so many years. I mean, he left Minnesota, he went to Detroit. He even did it at New England. He did it at the Colts with Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis. That's John Randle. He was just such a guy to be sitting around telling you. He goes, you know what? I got up this morning. He goes, and I was thinking about rushing the quarterback. It's 6 in the morning. He goes, I got to think about rushing the quarterback. And he would tell us, he would say stuff like, one reason after he left Minnesota, people asked me why did I pick him to be to induct me in the Hall of Fame. Was he told me, he said, if you guys listen to me, you'll be in the Hall of Fame. What? I'm like, whatever. He goes, listen to me. I'll put you in the Hall of Fame.
That's powerful, John.
Dude,
that's powerful, bro.
Oh.
Well, you know what? You rushed better than anybody. 137 and a half sacks, second most by a defensive lineman in the history of the game. Okay? Alan Page has the most, which, that's good company, brother.
Oh, yeah.
But here's when I delved into that stat, here's the impressive part. And this coming from a kicker who doesn't know much, but he knows a little bit.
You know a lot, dude.
54 of the sacks you had were on third downs, 53 on first down.
Yeah.
You didn't care for first down, second down, third down. Now, logic would say, well, a third down sack's easier than a first down sack because you're in a sub package. You have a mismatch maybe. But you got almost as many sacks on first down as you did on third down. So tell me your philosophy about the downs. And I already know the answer. You full speed no matter what. But what allowed you to get so many sacks on first down?
Well, one of the reasons was because we watched a lot of film. So to me, being in international football, being a pass rusher, you watch film, but you also, I say, you are stalking your opponent. You try to learn as much as you can about the team, about the players. I mean, I tried to figure out the guy was right-handed, left-handed. I tried to figure out so much information. So we started doing the data on it, and we started to figure out that a lot of teams were passing on first down. And sometimes we look at some certain teams and they were passing on second down. So the data, everything kind of all came in. I mean, and we watched for instance, we watched so much film. And I'll give you a good example. The Cincinnati Bengals one year, we played the Bengals. This Boomer Esiason. And I think we got like 9 sacks on Boomer Esiason. And people were like, how did you guys get to him? Like, hey, you know what? We came out, we had a great day. We played hard, blah, blah, blah. We got a lot of points early in the game, so we had to pass the ball. But we watched so much film that we figured out from watching that Boomer Esiason, he had this little flaw that he did, which was when his helmet was double strapped, it was a pass. When it was single strap, it was a run play. So we were looking at it.
Dude, that's like a poker player.
Exactly.
Like a poker player showing his hands. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Bernie Kosar. We played Bernie, and we saw from Bernie Kosar that before he snapped the ball, even in his hard count, he would move his leg before he snapped the ball. So every time he moved his leg, we knew the ball was coming out. Man, we watched so much film. That's why I say to guys today who play the game or even think about playing the game, or that if you watch film, you become better players. I think that's one of the things about the New England Patriots, which was Belichick, is watching film. You can discover so many things about your opponent from watching film. And for me, for instance, after the game, when everybody was sitting on the field talking, I always ran back in the locker room because I had notebooks about the players I just played against. So I was writing down the things he did well, the things he did bad, the things that I could take advantage of. And before you know it, man, you have a
library,
just a repertoire, library of all this information about players. And going to the Pro Bowl, when most guys sitting around drinking, I was sitting at the Pro Bowl talking to a guy. Like I sit with Reggie White and asking Reggie White about his hump move, and Reggie's teaching me the hump move. Or I'm sitting there with Larry Allen from the Cowboys, who was bench pressing 692 pounds, about being vulnerable, or what did he think his hardest thing he has to look out for going against me. And there's just this endless ways of finding that information to better yourself. Because I said to myself, even though I was a starter or I'd been to the Pro Bowl, I still saw myself as that kid who was trying to make it to the National Football League. So I wanted to push myself and to try to do whatever I could possibly do to make my team and myself a better organization and to get us to the next level. So I every year I was reading magazines, reading stories about guys like, oh my God, these sports journalists saying this about this guy. Oh my God. They say he has a problem with the bull rush. So write that down. So that's a little bit of stuff that I was.
Oh, I love it. And I want to delve into a couple examples on how you did your research on guys and used it in games. Besides the physical part, there was also a mental and an emotional component to this. And I'll just revert back to this. I mean, success favors the exceptionally prepared. And you were prepared. And what you did, you took it to another level, Johnny. I mean, you took it to another level. You did research on guys and found a weakness maybe in their mental makeup. It could be a number of things. It could be a little word, a trigger word, or the way you looked at a guy, or the way a little comment you made to him. Can you give me a couple examples of guys that became vulnerable because of your research?
Okay. Well, we were playing against this guy who had played. He was on the Vikings with me my first like 3 or 4 years, and he went to go play for Denver. So
we don't want to say
his
name.
I don't want to say his name, but I'm playing against him, and I can't get really like I'm trying to talk to him. He doesn't want to talk. Like he's just such a nice guy. So I can't get him to like get angry. So I think we had a TV timeout, and so I went up to him and I'm like, hey, you know what, man, it's good to see you, blah, blah, blah. It's been a long time. How's the family doing? Good, good, good. And then all of a sudden, I just went, I can't believe you're doing that. I just can't believe you're doing this. This is wrong. And all of a sudden, John Elway overhears us, walks up there. What's going on? I'm like, this is not about you. Doesn't involve you. You stay out there. I said, he just needs to pay me back my money. I gave him $50,000. He just give me my money. And I just give my money. And looked at him and looked at John and said, give my $50,000. John, I don't want your money. I want his money. He owes it. I want my money back. I was trying to do him a favor. And I just, I walked back to the huddle. And I walked back and I tell Henry Thomas, I said, when I come back, I said, I just need you to kind of just try to restrain me, like calm me down. So I get back and I'm like, no, he just give me my money, Henry. They want my money. So next thing you know, he said, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, see, you forgot. I said, small amount of money to you, but it's big money to me. I just want my money. And all of a sudden, he was trying to talk to me, trying to calm me down. The offensive lineman was. Dude, by that time, I'm like full throttle. I'm hitting John Elway. I think I got like 2 sacks, and Henry Thomas got like 2. And afterwards, the game was over.
That's the best.
He was coming. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm going, sorry for what? I'm like, he goes, I don't remember that money. I'm like, oh, there was no money. I was just playing. I was just messing with you. Thanks for those 2 sacks. I gave him a hug.
Oh.
He cursed me out. He cursed me out so bad. Like, and I was like, hey, you know, he's standing there after the game, he's standing there and he's cursing you out. I'm like, yep. I go. I'm like this. Bad Johnny. Bad Johnny. Bad Johnny.
No, good Johnny. Good Johnny. It's so fun. You made the game so fun, man. Even on the other side, you know, and we had some battles, and I want to touch on a couple. One is not going to be fun to talk about, but I'll get you on you. I still want to get you. Well, let me just. We'll take your only touchdown you ever had was against the New York Football Giants when you were with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
And I'm playing in that game, John.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I had 2 field goals. We beat you guys 27-24. But you had a touchdown in that game, and Michael Strahan had a touchdown in that game. Yeah. Do you remember the play?
Yeah, I do. I remember my stat because I remember going falling on the ball in the end zone, and we come to the sideline, and I'm like, boys, you know, like a country guy, boys, I just scored a touchdown in New York City. Woo! So, you know, that's where they're going. Everybody's like, what? I said, well, this country boy just scored him a touchdown in New York City. I said, it's like that old commercial, that Picante hot sauce, like New York City. Just scored a touchdown in New York City. Boy, I'm big. Look at me, boys.
I love it, John. Hey, in 1998, man, you guys were rolling. You're 15-1. Is that the greatest offensive, powerful team you've ever been on, that Minnesota Vikings in 98?
Yeah. Yes, it was, because the games, man, I mean, for Randy and Chris and Jake Reed and Cunningham, I mean, and Robert Smith, it was just like, you know, we really, for defense, we weren't, I hate to say it, but we weren't that good of a defense, but we were kind of young guys, but man, having those weapons of Randy, because Randy was so unique. Randy was the guy, you know, where most times quarterbacks usually come on the defense side and tell us, hey, let's go, guys. But Randy was the guy who came down there and was telling us, let's go, let's do this. And I think for our organization, we needed someone like Randy Moss, that type of caliber, the guy who just wasn't all about just scoring touchdown. He was about getting the team like fired up, and he was so unique. I mean, where they were telling everybody we had to wear suits on the plane, and Randy get on there, and he was talking about he's too sore to put on a sport coat, and that was Randy. But watching him play, man, it was like watching a video game, because you're on the sideline, and all of a sudden, we would just go sit down. You're on the sideline sitting down. Next thing you know, like, hey man, Randy just scored. Like, what? And we just sat down. We go back out there, and you was some point like, hey Randy, man, don't score too quick, man. Just kind of take your time. Give us a chance to just rest over here. But that was a high powerful offense. But I think one of the things that kind of hurt us was that we practiced like the old school way of practicing. We had an indoor facility, but they would open the doors, and we had to go. Coach Green wanted us to go full pad and stuff, and I think a lot of it kind of wore guys down. But it was a high, potent offense that was unbelievable to play against, but to be on it and to watch how Randy, man, and Chris, and Jake. I mean, you couldn't double. You say, you know what, we're gonna double Randy and Chris, and here comes Jake Reed, and because Jake Reed was my roommate before, I think about his 5th year, we were roommates together. So we were always talking about when we got our chance to play, and to see Jake, the way he excelled, it was just unbelievable that
you had weapons.
That type of,
You had so many weapons, and I've watched the game a few times. I'm sure you probably have not. The NFC Championship game.
You think? Yeah.
It's just a wild guess, Johnny. But there were several occasions where, I mean, Moss is there, and the ball is there, and if it's a foot closer to Randy, it's a touchdown on a couple of occasions. And we felt very fortunate to be able to hang around, and the unusual occurrence of Gary, obviously missing his only field goal of the year, very unusual. It was almost like standing on our sideline from our perspective. This is a perfect storm coming to us somehow, because we were not expecting. You got to remember, we were 14-2.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
I mean, we were not slouchy. We had just beat the Niners. So,
we knew you got.
We were road dogs. We were road dogs that had to come up. And when Gary missed that field goal, I go, this is going to be over. This is going to be a good game now, because you guys were killing us.
But you know what, though? I tell you what, though, we had so many of us were. I mean, the game that really, it was against the Titans. That game, I remember in the locker room, it was so flat, and I had to literally go around. Let's go, but it took me some time. That last regular season game, it took me some time to understand that, because I was banged up against Arizona, but there were so many guys that were just needed a rest. And for what it was worth, that season went by quick, but man, that was so many guys were banged up. I didn't know Robert Smith was banged up as bad.
Were you on field goal? Were you on field goal rush on the final play in overtime?
I don't think so. I don't think I was, because I had sprained my knee, and the first play against you guys, they hit me in my knee again. But no, I usually wasn't out there on field goal rush.
What do you remember your emotion immediately after you saw the kick go through the uprights? And I'll leave it alone.
Yeah,
that was my highlight, obviously.
I think for me, it was basically like we didn't believe that we were going to lose that game. And to see it happen, it was just like, coming, your girlfriend breaking up with you. You're just like, what? You breaking up with me? No, you can't break up with me. And for us, that's the way, because I can remember feeling like
numbness.
God, yeah, just numbness, and just like not tired, but just like, no, we're supposed to go to the Super Bowl. We're supposed to be going to Miami. We're supposed to be hearing Will Smith's song about Miami. That's supposed to be our song.
You had a song about Miami? Oh, Will, I got you.
Will Smith has the song. So every time, even to today, every time I hear that song, I turn it off on the radio because
it reminds you of the good old days when the Falcons, when
you guys would,
when the Dirty Birds,
you had your Dirty Bird up there. I'm like, okay, they got the Dirty Bird, but hey, we don't matter. We're going to Miami. We're gonna get some
banners hanging. I remember you guys had bangers hanging, and they were coming down. They were ripping them off the side. And it was silent. That dome was silent, bro.
In the locker room, they had the cameras and everything all set up in the locker room. They had the podium all set, and it was. That's what I'm telling you. It was like,
oof.
Like it was.
Putting the cart before the horse, there, dog.
Oh, and I remember driving home after the game, and on the side of the road, I kept noticing something on like these little things on the side of the road. And I think I was with my driver or something. I go, hey, slow down. I looked over. People had thrown their Vikings banners off their cars. I go, and that's when I realized, I told so many people, told many guys, I said, this really hurts. And I just don't mean us. This really hurts our fans. And I said, if we don't remember this for ourselves, remember this, how disappointing this was for our fans. And I said that for me will always be in my mind of how we let our fans down. And I said that's one of the main reasons we play this game, or that's one of the reasons in the game when I'm pushing myself, it was for the fans, because these people paid their hard-earned money to watch us play, and to take this away from them.
Yeah. Just to come full circle on this, in 2004, I signed with Minnesota Vikings, and the first game in the Metrodome, I get booed. I mean, not just a little bit. I was like, oh, I just entered the Lions den. Now I'm wearing purple. I'm wearing purple, and they booed me. But it took a couple field goals to get them calmed down, man.
Yeah, that's, what I say. I mean, I've been living here a long time, and I tell people here, one thing about Minnesota, and even with the cold weather, I go, it's cold weather, but you got some warm heart people who can remember, which this happens to me quite a bit, which is I'll be at a gas station or I'll be somewhere and somebody goes, I met you, John, 20 years ago at a gas station, pumping gas. I'm like, dude, okay, I believe you. But they remember. And, so it's that game, man.
I know. Let's leave it alone. I got a couple of things to finish up. You've been so kind and taken way too much time, but I love it. I could sit here for another hour with you. And I want to say to you personally, what a dear friend you are, and how much you've taught me coming into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, how you were so welcoming, and every time spent with you is a gift to me, brother. I hope you know that.
I do. I appreciate it. I tell people all the time, I said,
we've had some fun.
We've had some blasts. I tell people, I said, I felt like I've been knowing Morten Andersen like my whole life. He's a guy that I said, I can remember different moments in time I ran into you. I saw you. I go, dude, I said, I can just never get enough of Morten Andersen, man.
I'm the same way, brother. I can never get enough Johnny Randle. And we love life. We love life, brother. And you do.
We do.
And we appreciate our history too, because it hadn't been easy all the time,
No. You know what? But that's life. I tell people that's life in general. You're gonna have some up times, some up hills, some downhills. I go, but dude, that's what makes life. And you sit around. I go, I never look at it as half empty. I look at it half full.
You light up a room. When you walk into a room, everybody knows Johnny Randle's in the room. And that's a good thing. Right. No, that not because you're loud or anything, just because the energy changes. And I mean that in a very positive way. You know what? You have an innate ability. You have a great ability to connect people. Your network is vast. I thought I had a big network until I met you. And we would have a conversation and you'd go, oh, I got him right here. You show him in the phone. Oh, I know him. Oh, I did something with him. Oh, I was just like, at some point, I just threw my hands off. I was overwhelmed. I go, all right, Johnny. All right, man. I don't know what to say.
I love connecting people. To me, it's like
you do.
It's like being in that small town again. And, you know, getting to know your neighbors. And I'm always asking somebody, is there anything I can do for you? Or somehow I'm trying to find something to help you. And like one of my guys here, he's a former player. He played a couple years in the NFL, and he worked with high school kids. And in the past 10 years, he's put over 100 kids into college with helping them get scholarships.
Wow!
So he came to me and he was like, you know what? I'm trying to build a new weight room, but with COVID, I can't get people to reach out and try to help me out. And he goes, do you know anybody possibly that could help us? And I said, you know what? I said, give me a little time. Let me go on the golf course and I can figure this thing out. So I was playing golf with a guy and talked to this guy and had the guy come over and see the high school weight room. And quicker than you can say cat in the hat, dude, he had donated. He donated. I went and talked to him, and Polaris, who's based in Minnesota, reached out to him and helped him build a weight room. And we're going to be going over there, myself, Polaris, the Vikings, and we're going to open a new weight room. And dude, they've got banners up from Polaris. They got banners up from the NFL Legends community. But I was just excited just to find one of my connections that could help him out, because Polaris, like I told Polaris, I said, you guys are always making roads where there aren't roads. And here's the connection, I think, for you guys that will speak volume. But for what Polaris was wanting to do wasn't about they just wanted to do something good since it was in the state of Minnesota. And I was just so thrilled to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you do that, and you connect a bunch of us, of NFL legends, as one of the directors for the league and for the Legends community. And it's been a blessing to me. I took advantage down at Tulane with the Trust, which is a phenomenal resource that gives you a whole battery of tests that just preventative in nature. That's so good. And so I want to thank you for your service, because that's really what it is, service to others.
You know what, Morten, I think you said it best, and that the connection. I tell guys that that locker room, that we don't have that locker room of 60 to 70 guys anymore. Our locker room now consists of over 20,000 former guys.
Yeah.
And it's that brotherhood of telling guys that it's not black or white, it's just the brotherhood of us doing something that we love to do, is playing in the National Football League.
Yeah.
And now we have a bigger locker room so we can reach out and help each other.
Yeah.
Because that's what life's all about, helping each other.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Johnny. Before I let you go, I got a couple of names, and we'll just play a little name game, and whatever comes to mind when I say a name,
all right,
throw it back to me. Denny Green.
Denny Green was head coach of Minnesota Vikings, and he was what made him so unique was whenever we were in the steam or the sauna, Dennis Green would come in the steam and the sauna and would be practice boxing. We all be sitting there going, Dennis Green.
So random. I love it. Chris Carter.
CC. Chris Carter was probably the first guy who was doing the one-handed catch.
Oh yeah.
And he was a guy who would be stretching early in the morning in the locker room. And he was one of the guys in Minnesota who started Bible studies. And he also was probably one of the first guys who was like a player coach. He was not afraid to tell you, you got to pick it up. You need to do more. And, remember Chris Carter.
Randy Moss.
Oh, Mr. Afro. Country, talking country, but being a black dude, but at the same time, the guy who we played the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day, and all he kept talking about that whole week was, man, y'all just wait till I get to Dallas. Man, I'm going to tear them up. And just like any rookie, you like, okay, yeah, sure. And what he did on Thanksgiving Day in Dallas, man, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Chris Dolman.
Oh, I miss him. One of the most unique things about Chris Dolman was, first of all, he always wore his polo shirt buttoned to the top.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Ah. Oh, good call, Johnny. That's a great call, bro.
He was having a shirt buttoned to the top, and I watched him come in the locker room, and I'm like, yeah. And I see him come in the locker room.
Yeah.
Hey, your shirt buttoned to the top. Your shirt buttoned to the top. Or he would have a briefcase. He came to work with a briefcase, and most of us would have backpacks. And I'm looking at him with the briefcase coming to work, and he just walk in there, and hey, he would put tape on his socks. I go, why do you put tape on your socks? I don't want them to fall down. And he goes, look at your socks. I said, dude, I don't care if my socks come down. I said, I don't care. He throw water in my jersey. I said, I don't care. I said, you about clean it. I said, this over here, this is blue collar. Oh, this is lumberjack. He's over there. And his game music would be like, he would listen to opera. You get in his car, and I'm like, oh Lord, help me. I can't take this.
You drive to the stadium with him?
Yeah, if I got a ride with him, I would get there and get out the car and go. And he goes, you coming in? I'm like, no, go ahead. I'm going to wait. I would just sit out there and like, oh.
What did you listen to?
I actually would listen to U2, love U2 music.
Okay.
So I had to have some U2 music.
Got you. All right.
And maybe the Doors.
Oh.
Got to have some Jim Morrison.
Yes, you do.
You got to break on through. You got to break on
through to the other side, man.
Other side. Yeah, the Lizard King. Yeah.
Oh, the Lizard King. Oh, yeah, man. All right, I got you, bro.
Get together.
Tony Dungy, Brian. Tony Dungy.
Oh, Tony Dungy. I learned so much from Tony Tony was probably one of the most influential coaches for me, to where he could get his point across without saying a word. So inspirational, such a spiritual guy.
Yes.
Such a great, not all just about coaching, but as a person in general. About you just because you play this way, you don't have to be that way off the field. And I can remember, I got to tell you this great story about this player we had on the team. That this player we had that he was always wanting to be in the center of attention. And so he was always had this phrase after every play. He would go, killer, killer. So Tony put up on a highlight reel of best plays. And you can hear this one guy in the back, killer, killer. Then Tony threw on a reel of bad plays. And so it was this guy who was on there, and Tony said, killer, killer, and looked back at him. That's how he quieted that guy down. Wow. But he said he was one of those guys, you don't have to say nothing to get your point across.
That is good, Johnny.
Yeah.
Gary Anderson.
Gary, man, I felt so bad for Gary that game because everyone tried to point that it was Gary's fault. And I remember I said this and I said it all over. I go, was not Gary's fault. I go, Gary had made previous kicks that had gotten us out of bad situations. I said, this situation that we got in with Atlanta was about us. And with Gary, I remember going to Bible studies with Gary afterwards and listening to him just to speak about different things he was going through. And I think that's also maybe probably one of the reasons why he hasn't come back here to Minnesota.
He hasn't?
Because of, we haven't seen him at events and stuff. And I think a lot of people have a lot of still anger towards him.
That's crazy.
I don't.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, dude. And I said, I said the same thing. It's just, I'm like, it's not his fault. I go, you guys. I go, we're a team, and as a team, don't look at it that way. And I go, he missed one field goal the whole year, one. And I said, you trying to put him on for one bad play? And I go, what about our bad play? And so I feel so bad for him, you know, and I wish him all the best. I wish he would come back to Minnesota.
Well, maybe if he listens to Great Dane Nation, he will. And
he should.
He should, man. Hey, Johnny, it's been fun, man. Not bad for a country boy from Texas. Sitting right there in a suburb in Minneapolis, director of the Legends community, who's made a huge impact on the league, not only on the field, brother, but off the field. And you're just the way you are, you know, it's inspiring and motivating, and it's most of all, it's fun, it's quality. Just being with you and the way you connect people and the way you help people off the field, very inspiring. I learn a lot from you, man.
Thank you, dude. And I'll say this about you: you are my brother from another mother.
that we can confirm.
Yes, sir, dude.
I love you, man, and I'll see you soon, I hope.
Oh yeah, love you too. Take care.